So upon more review, it might not be so bolt-on, but if you want 3.0s on your Dodge, just come to the Fab Lab and they'll take care of you. All right, it looks like I get to work with the other Jesse today. What is up, guys? Jesse here with Adventure Endeavor, and today we have a upgrade on the Ram. Today we are going to be upgrading those shocks I talked about for a second in our previous video. So this truck comes with the Carly 2.5-inch pin top system, which is King shocks, and they have a pin top on the front and the rears. Today, we're going to be getting rid of those front shocks, and we're going to be doing a 3.0 ADS, Arizona Desert Racing shock, with bypasses and a remote reservoir. There's a lot of reasons we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to try to explain that as we go. We're going to be going over to the Fab Lab because it's just going to require a little bit of fabrication and talk about all the upgrades, all the reasons for these upgrades on this truck. So this is the 2.5-inch King, and when I mean pin top, it means there's a bolt, like a pin, that goes through the frame right here, and there is a bolt on the top. Basically, we want to get rid of that, and we want to have an eyelet so that we have a bolt that goes through either this way or this way. I'm not sure how we're going to orient it, but basically what happens is over time, these bushings right here get worn out, and if you really off-road your truck and you use it heavily like we do for what it's built for, these things barely last one season, in my opinion. We off-road a lot, we take the truck off a lot, we do off-roading, we do rock crawling, pre-running, all that stuff. These things get annihilated. I've tried all different things, and it doesn't seem to be a better solution other than just getting rid of these. So it's going to be hard mounted with a bolt.
A few moments later.
So here at the Fab Lab, we've done a lot of work on this truck. We've done rock sliders, we did a front axle truss, ball joints, we mounted the rear bypass shocks on the back of this truck, and then obviously we did the full-on Jeep build, which was like motor swap, front frame section swap, front and rear suspension, a cantilever, beams. He works on a lot of Broncos, Tacomas, literally anything. But we take our vehicles here for everything, and I have known Mikey at the Fab Lab since I was like 5 years old, and it's just awesome to see how well he's done and how busy he stays, because he knows what he's doing, and all the trucks he builds just work so nice. This is our buddy Bruce's F-250. It's on 40s, custom front end, linked rear, big boy shocks. So this is his crawler and his go fast. It kind of does everything. Mercenary off-road bumpers. This thing is super cool. Super cool truck, all built by the Fab Lab here. Obviously the Fab Lab's Explorer. You can tell we like ADS shocks. They don't leak, which is great. Things on 40s, Super Duty axles. This thing is super rad. Crawls extremely well. They did the Rubicon this past summer. Hello? Is anyone here? Someone's here, obviously. This van is cool. Check out this thing.
Jesse wanted me to kind of give you a quick rundown why we think that these bigger shocks with the bypass tubes are going to be superior to these smooth body tubes. There's a bunch of different things, one of which is these are obviously a larger diameter shock. They have more oil, they'll stay cooler longer, they'll help dampen the big truck better in the long run. Second thing is they don't have the pin top. So the problem with that is if you're not a non-fabricator is this is what the vehicle calls for this particular application for the upper shock mount. We're gonna get away from this because what ends up happening over time is these bushings like to wear out and fatigue with hard use, regular hard use. So if you go to a regular bolt style with a com bearing, this seems to be last a lot longer and is honestly a lot easier to service. You're not worried about spinning the stud in the body and all that stuff. Another reason why these shocks are superior is, as you can see, the hose diameter is much, much larger. Why that's good is maybe not necessarily on Jesse's application here, but on some applications where there's a high shaft speed, the hose can sometimes be a restriction and cause the shock to cativate or do other weird things where it almost feels like the shock isn't damping like it should. This, with this large resi, that should never be an issue. And then an obvious reason is these external adjustable tubes. Not only are they externally adjustable, so you can make shock tuning changes without having to take the shock apart. They're also nice because if set up correctly, they could be progressive or linear or digressive depending on your shock application needs.
All right, so we got the shocks out, and now we're gonna compress the spring a little bit with the sketchy spring compressors that no one likes. If you work on cars, you know this is always never fun. And we're gonna take the springs out, which these are the Carly 2.5 inch, I don't know, their basic kit, so that we can bump the truck up, bump the axle up. Let her rip, Tater Chip. And as you can tell on camera, I'm just kind of standing back a little bit because no need for both of us to get hurt, right, buddy?
No, just one.
Funny story, it's not a factory hole. I had to replace my turbo actuator and I couldn't get to one of the bolts, so I drilled a hole through here. And we're not going to a coilover. Obviously, we're gonna keep those coils. Those work good. So while they're figuring out the shocks, I'm gonna cut out the lower shock mount because we're not gonna be using those anymore. And they're figuring out the upper. And like Mikey said, who the heck has 3.0 bypasses on the front of their Dodge? So this is kind of like a first, right?
I mean, from what I know.
From what you know. I know they make 3.0 pin tops, but
There's no tubes on them.
There's no tubes, and this is gonna be a much bigger upgrade from a 3.0 pin top for sure. There's a first tabs. Cool thing about this setup, this is a plasma cam table. They can design everything right here, and then it just cuts it out right there. That's cool. There's the start of the upper mount. Definitely not gonna be bolt on, it's gonna be weld on.
This one, but we might be able to come up with a bolt-on option.
Oh, okay. So mine, we're just gonna weld it on because obviously I like to party and I really use the truck really hard. But there's obviously a way that you could make it bolt on through the existing old hole. So we put the tire on and we're doing some clearancing. There's plenty of room between the tire and the shock. And just kind of making sure everything fits because you don't want to weld this all up and then you got like a bunch of different things rubbing and whatnot. And these 37s are very tight. I'm gonna do some more trimming over here. We are checking droop to make sure the shock clears when the truck is fully drooped out. So we're finding out that the sides are slightly different, which is totally fine. It seems like the driver's side has slightly more clearance. That's kind of what we got for the upper mount. And then the lower, we're using a temporary mount right here because it was easy and convenient, but it's gonna eventually attach into the axle housing. And it's gonna probably tie into the whole Carly truss as well. So here's the upper mount. pretty simple. This is a reservoir mount here. Here is the lower mount, and now it's all ready for final welding. We can still access the radius arm bolt. This is much stronger than factory because they're actually known to break off the factory mount here. And they fit, barely. We are currently pulling them apart to check the fluid level, revalve, and change the bypass springs. Believe it or not, the springs are right in here, right?
They're inside here, exactly.
Because we have a super heavy diesel truck, we need some pretty stiff springs in there.
Correct.
And we got all this valving from a buddy, and I'll link his Instagram right here. So we took out this compression tube, top cap thing. I don't know. What do you call it?
Yeah, we took the bypass valve out of the compression tube.
Yep. So I've actually never been inside of a bypass tube before, but this is what it looks like. And these are the springs that came out right here. Very light springs, and we're going to replace them with much stiffer springs. And this is mostly due to the weight, right?
This is mostly due to the weight. We don't want this shock being overly sensitive to changes like in the terrain, because then what's going to happen is, even though the truck is stiff, you know, the mid and high or whatever is stiff, the valving and stuff in it, it might just kind of have like end up having a floaty feel, and that's we don't want that.
So this is more of a spring for like a lighter truck, like in the rear of a truck, right?
Yeah, rear of a leaf sprung, you know, half ton or smaller truck. That's exactly what you'd want.
And then these are going to be much better for the front of our heavy diesel truck, very heavy truck.
Exactly.
And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to change out these valving shims right here. Believe it or not, they're all different thicknesses, and we were told by someone who is very good at shock valving exactly what to put in there to get it close, and then when we're out in the field, when we're testing, we can adjust it more with the tubes. Well guys, here it is, all finished up. A reservoir mount. Here's our new top mount. Big old shocks in there. Lower mount came out incredible. Pretty crazy to get this to fit. It's very, very tight in here, but overall, we're stoked. Can't wait to get it out in the desert to give it a try.